I want to understand a very, very simple, but I think really important concept for Rosh Hashanah. Really, why do we blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah? That simple and basic. What is the reason for why we blow the shofar? Probably the most famous answer is the answer that my daughter gave when I asked her this question. I was not sure it was my daughter. I went to Eitz Chaim Girls' School last Friday to blow shofar for a number of years. And I asked the girls, why to blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah? And without fail, the same answer is given every year. And what is that answer? It actually did not say Kedishat. That took a while to elicit.
To wake us up.
To wake us up. Right? Who's the first, as far as I know, who is the first person to make such a statement? At least in that clear, succinct manner? That's the Rambam in source number 1. The Rambam writes in Hilchot Tshuva, in Perek Gimel Achad Daled, Af al pi shetkiyat shofar Rosh Hashanah gzera dakatu. Even though blowing shofar Hashanah, what's it gzera dakatu? What does that mean? You see the word gzera dakatu. What does that mean?
From the Torah.
That's more than just from the Torah. That's literally, does it give an explanation in the Torah? Does the Torah say, let me give you an example. Why do you sit in the sukkah? On sukkahs. Why do you sit in the sukkah? What does the Torah at least tell us? Laman Yedu Dorotechem Kiva Sukkot Ashata B'nei Yisrael. So at least the Torah says why we sit in the sukkah. Why we matz on Pesach? Perhaps right? I mean, at least it explains. There's some type of explanation of some sort. What does it say on Rosh Hashanah? Nothing. Rosh Hashanah is only referred to as Yom Shura Yalachem or Yom Zichron Shura Yalachem. That's it. So says the Rambam. Listen, guys. Why blow shofar? It's Gzir Takatu. You know, like. First of all, question number 1. Is it Gzir Takatu? Doesn't say that. All it calls Rosh Hashanah is Yom Shura Yalachem. Does that mean blow the shofar? Come back to that in a minute. The Rambam. Remez Yeshbo. Says the Rambam, there's still a hint to what this means. Klomar, Uru Yesheni Mi Sheinatchem. Wake up, sleep your heads from your sleep, and that's what we're basically saying. The shofar is an alarm clock. So the Rambam writes a reason. Says it just says so, which is already an assumption the Rambam is making. Rambam is assuming Yom Shua means a shofar. We'll come back to that. And second, he's saying, you know what it means? Wake up from your slumber. Take a look at source 2. Take a look at source 3. Source 2 is Yom Shua Yalachem. More and then take a look at source 3. So as I said before, 2 different places, Yom Shura or Yom Zichron Trua. Now, all that being said, you know what? What do we call the sound? No, how do you produce the sound of a shofar? Anybody here know how to blow shofar? Anybody here blow shofar? Anybody? You want to blow shofar? What do you have to do, as opposed to what all kids do? They take the shofar, go, right? What requires is you need to be able to you need to blow air, the nishima, into the shofar for a tkiya. To produce a shofar matrua, you have to block the air using your tongue. But it's ultimately, it's one breath. So, b'nishima achat. A shvarim is not, it's not a kosher shvarim. Shvarim is when you're, right? Hard to do that unless you're actually doing it. Now, you see what's the difference? Here's what I think the difference is. Where is the first example in the Torah where we see the concept of breath? What's the first example in the Torah of a breath? Say it. Adam and Chava. Vayipach ba'apav nishmat chayim. Interesting. Let's make the following observation. A shofar comes from the animal kingdom, right? Meaning, Yom Shua Yalachem, if you want to express something, why don't you say it with words, with davening? Ever wonder? blown it. But how do we know? I said, how do you know that shofar has a status of tefillah? On some level, has a status of, if you're Nusach Sfarad, you'll appreciate this more. Nusach Sfarad, what do? Different than Nusach Ashkenaz, it comes to blow in the shofar. They blow in the silent Amida. Silent Amida? It must be they blow shofar during Chazrat Hashat. It's a hefsek. They blow shofar in the middle of Kaddish? You can't do that. Do you guys realize that Kaddish is more important than Kedusha? More people talk during Kaddish than Kedusha. No one talks. During Kedusha, no one talks. But during Kaddish, it's actually perhaps holier than Kedusha. Right? During Kaddish, at the end, by the Chazan, you blow shofar. Why? Shofar has a status of tefillah. It's not a hefsek. They're clear, but these are clear halachic proofs for it, right? So I don't understand. Instead of blowing shofar, why didn't you say words?
You do say words.
What do you blow shofar? What do you say?
Oh, during.
You just listen quietly. I think what's happening here is it's such a powerful. What distinguishes the human world from the animal world? One major distinction between animals and humans lies in speech. Take a look at the end of source 4. Source 4 says Unkelus Ubara Shemokim Yat Adam Afra Min Ara V'Napach Ba'afui Nishmata. And God injects this breath of life, Nishmata, right? Neshama. Interesting how Neshama is breath. The Chayiv V'Hut Ba'adam L'Ruach V'Malala. What's V'Malala? Adam becomes a speaking animal, a speaking being. Interesting. So we use, what distinguishes humans from animals, is we use an animalistic instrument to express something which should make a distinction between humans and animals. And what gives us this difference is this breath of life, which gives us our ability to speak as exactly what we do to the shofar. We give it a breath to produce the sound. Which is quite ironic. So again, we're using an animalistic instrument to produce a sound of tefillah, of prayer, which is the very thing that distinguishes humans from animals, is the ability to speak and to communicate. Now this is also really neat. Take a look at Rashi in source 5. Remember I told you, it says Yom Trua Yalachem and Yom Zichron Trua. Now do we just blow shofar? Take a look at 5, Zichron Trua. So by the way, many people understand Zichron Trua to be, when do you do Zichron Trua? Oh, on Rosh Hashanah, that falls out on Shabbos. There's only a remembrance of Trua, but no actual Trua. Let's look at Rashi, source number 5. Zichron Trua. Zichron, Psuke Zichronot, Psuke Shofarot. Lizkor lachem akeda Yitzchak, Shekarav, Tachtav, Ayo. Zachor et Mashavat lekadsha. What does the word Zachor mean? Zachreu be. How do you feel the mitzvah of Zachor Yom HaShabbat L'Kadsho? You all know the answer to this. You just said it. Kiddush. How are you making Kiddush? Zachor Yom HaShabbat L'Kadsho doesn't mean to remember, it means to actually say. How do you fulfill it? By saying the word Shabbat Shalom. V'chulu Shmoim V'aretz. Good Shabbos is Machoges. But for sure Shabbat Shalom, you fulfill the mitzvah of Zechir, Zechira of Shabbos. Right? Zachor Yom HaShabbat L'Kadsho. What does Rashi say? How do you fulfill Zichron Trua? We're starting psukim. What do we do in our Amida and Musaf? What do we do? We add 10 psukim for Malchiot and Zichronot and Shofarot. Rashi says, what's Zichron Trua? You say psukim. Now isn't that neat? Both the dimensions come together. What do? We produce a sound which is an animalistic sound. But while we produce the sound, we don't just produce the sound. What envelops the sound? Psukim in the Torah. Because that's speech. And what do we use? The greatest connection to the eternal world, that's reading Psukim in the Torah, or Ketuvim, or Nevi'im. So it's this combination of human and animal coming together. It's using an animalistic sound, this pure sound, right? But what do? We add in our Psukim. And we don't, no creativity involved. Psukim from the Torah, Psukim from Tanakh. The most connected words possible. And what we use at the same time when it comes to Tkiyat Shofar. So Rashi throws in here now something very important. Akedat Yitzchak, Shekarav Tachtav Ayo. So according to Rashi, why do we blow shofar Rosh Hashanah? There's something else going on here, and that is, of course, Kediyas has to do what Tehillah was mentioning from before. Rambam holds that it's what? Alarm clock. And Rashi here, anyways, is throwing in this notion of Akedat Yitzchak, which was, right, an ayah took the place by, instead of Yitzchak. Okay. I would like to then say, step 1, 2 already, what is this notion of Akedat Yitzchak? What's the idea of Akedat Yitzchak? What happened to Akedat Yitzchak? Let's go through the motion. Avram was told to what? Unclear what he was told. That's what Avram did. But what does Avram do? He takes Yitzchak. He has a sword. And what did he do at the last second? He's about to shecht Yitzchak. What happens? An angel comes and says what? Don't do it. Abraham, right? Don't do it. Now, what happens instead? The Midrash says that Abraham said, let me draw a little blood. Let me do, no, nothing. What does he do? He looks up, he sees an ayah, and he replaces Yitzchak with this ayah, with this ram. And what's that ram? Shofar, Kedah, Shofar, Yom Troy Yelachem, according to Rashi. What's the message? I would like to argue the message, what Rashi is alluding to, I believe, is coming up in a few weeks in our Amud Yomi Jealousy version. Source 6. Kach v'kublani mibeit avi avi. Afilu cherev chada munachet al tzavro shel adam. Al yuna atzmo mina rachamim. If the Rambam refers to alarm clock, I believe what Rashi is referring to, even if a sword, a sharp sword, is placed on the neck of the individual, do not prevent a person, it does not prevent mercy from interfering. Even at the last second, God can interfere, and life, a person's fate can totally change. Rashi holds, I believe. What's the idea of shofar? What the idea of shofar is? The idea of shofar, don't forget to daven. Look up to God. You never know what can happen in life. Things can change keheref ayin, like a blink of an eye. The blink of an eye, Abraham was about to freeze. I was like, cut his hand, right? Prevented the knife from going down. And what's this message? That life can change, by the way. The Rabbi Latel, but in this case we're focusing on the good. In this case we're focusing. You don't despair. Help is on its way, and help can come at any moment. So I think that's this message that Rashi is trying to impart. Next, where's the first shofar mentioned? Where's the first time the word shofar appears in the Torah? First shofar in the Torah is where? By when by Yetziat Mitzrayim, when they build the shofar? It says shofar by Yetziat Mitzrayim?
No, it says trumpets.
Matan Torah.
By Matan Torah. This is going to be neat. I hope this works. Let me know if this works. Take a look at 7. On the third day in the morning, there is lightning, and there is thunder, and anan kaved alahar, and there's a great cloud is descended on the mountain. The kol shofar chazak ma'od. The sound of the shofar is very strong. Here it is. The sound of the shofar. By the way, Yom HaShlishi, what is that? What will this day become? What holiday? Not Rosh Hashanah. What holiday? Shavuot, right? Shavuot. Okay. Take a look again at Yud-Chet. The Har Sinai Ashan Kulo. Har Sinai is filled with smoke. Really, Har Sinai is smoking. B'nei Kulo Mipnei Asher Yarad Alav Hashem. Ba'ish. Fire is on top of Har Sinai, covered in smoke. Everyone has this image, filled with smoke. We hear the shofar blowing. That is right around Matan Torah. Beautiful. Take a look again. Look at Yotet. Vayihi kol hashofar holech v'chazak ma'od. The sound of the shofar is very strong. Moshe daber elokir neu v'kol. It's a conversation between Moshe and God. Question: when does the sound of the shofar end? I'd like to ask you. Everyone here knows the shofar Har Sinai? Heard that before? When does the shofar end? When does the noise stop? What would you think? Intuitively, what would your gut reaction be? Before Hashem speaks. But the problem is, it appeared the shofar is going with this conversation. Look at your text. It appeared the shofar is in the background still, no? So, what's this going on? What's this shofar in Har Sinai? Take a look at this. Look at Yud Gimel. So, Yud Al, let's be the Yud Al Tibei Gimel. Be prepared. So these are the 3 psukim that take place actually beforehand. So take a look. Prepare for the 3rd day. Why? Be balt at the har, border it off, don't touch it, or touch it will die. Lo tigubo, yad, kisakoi sakel royere. Im behema, ibish loichia. What happens if a human or animal ascends a mountain? What's going to happen to them? They're going to be toast. Bimshoch hayovel, hema, ya'alu v'har. How would you translate that part? What's bimshoch hayovel, hema, ya'alu v'har? What does that mean? When the... What's a yovel? Bimshoch hayovel, what's a yovel? Yovel means a... Jubilee. Well, what's the word for yovel in this context? Bimshoch hayovel. What's bimshoch hayovel? Actually, yovel is the word for shofar. It's actually very important to use a jubilee. You'll see why in a minute. Kiryat hayovel, right? But you'll see what that means, yovel. So take a look at this. Bimshoch hayovel v'har. Rashi. Bimshoch hayovel. Kishiyushoch hayovel, i.e. shofar, kol aroch, when we blow a loud sound, hu siman siluk shchina v'apsakat hakol. When does Har Sinai stop becoming holy? When does the kedusha of Har Sinai dissipate? According to Rashi, when? There are 2 shofars according to Rashi. There's a shofar that begins Har Sinai, and there's another shofar. And what's that shofar? That's going to signify what? The show's over. Right, the curtain is being drawn. The game's over. Har Sinai revelation is now ended. If that ends, is there any kedusha whatsoever left Har Sinai? No. You can now ascend the mountain. You go on a picnic on Har Sinai. According to Rashi, Bimshoch hayovel. Listen to these words, everybody. Very important words. Bimshoch hayovel. When you blow the yovel, which is yovel means shofar. Hema ya'alu bahar. You're allowed to ascend the mountain. According to Rashi, you blow the shofar, the kedusha has ended. What does this mean? There's a shofar that begins the experience. There's maybe a pause of some sort, right? And the shofar, when you hear it, it's over. It's like a buzzer. Okay, game over. They didn't have buzzers nowadays, right? So what they do, those bells, they have no bells, so they had a shofar. That's what they use. But look at the Ibn Ezra. Look at this Ibn Ezra. When I saw this Ibn Ezra, source 10. Bimshoch hayavel perush keves. Horn from a sheep. V'nikra hayovel kev. Ba'avur v'heveta shofar churua. Ki shofar hu mekarne hakeves. Says Ibn Ezra, shofar is a yovel. And a yovel is a shofar. It comes from a sheep. Good. V'chein katuv b'mshoch v'keren hayovel v'shomachem et kol shofar. Pasuk in Yoshua, the shofar. What's that referring to? That's referring to the battle of Yericho, right? V'hatim alomrim ki al kol shofar holech v'chazak ma'od Moshe v'tivko kol shofar hu pele gadol ein b'mad Har Sinai gadol mimenu. Says Ibn Ezra, the shofar thing, the blow away. Where does the shofar come from? Why is it blow away? Listen to this. Ki kolot u'brakim v'anam kaved gam him narim ba'olam. Says Ibn Ezra, listen. I see lightning, I see thunder, and I see clouds. But there's no such thing as a random shofar sound. He said the greatest part of Revelation was the shofar. Because where did that come from? Right? Everything else exists in the natural world. The sound of a shofar, just the sound. Interesting. It says in the Torah that there's a kol shofar. It doesn't say there's a shofar, does it? So who's producing the kol shofar according to Ibn Ezra? God. No one's blowing the shofar. The sound just exists. And that is, so again, isn't that neat? The cold shofar is the miraculous. The item, isn't that neat? Because it has to come from a physical object, from the animal. But when that physical object ain't there, then where does it come from? So the Ibn Ezra, Peleg Gadol. Ki kol the kol shofar lo yishma ad yom aseret hadvarim. The sound of a shofar, first time it ever existed, was Seder Dibra. V'hineh, lo hayam mikeren keves. He said there's no such thing as the horn didn't exist. There's no horn, there's the sound. Amar Hagaon. When Ibn Ezra says Gaon, who's he referring to? Rav Shai Gaon. Amar Gaon, kasher yitkam Moshe b'shofar. When Moshe, so the Gaon explains it, that Moshe goes shofar. Az nitam lehem reshut lavat. Right? We said that before Moshe goes shofar, and then people can ascend the mountain. V'zeh haya achar. When did this take place? Oh, oops! Don't look next words. Look up! Don't look. I said before that what? When did the shofar sound? Let's say it's by Moshe. When did the shofar sound? At the end of the Brot or whatever happened. Look at Rav Sajagar. Korban Ibn Ezra. You know that shofar? The shofar went from the beginning of this whole experience, and look at this. Amar God. Now look back. Second line there. When did the Kedusha of Har Sinai end? Not, I don't know, the 6th day or 7th day of Sivan. But when? The Zaya Achar Ridat Moshe be Yom Akipurim V'tziva L'asot HaMishkan. Do you know when the Kedusha, 6 months later, 4.5 months later, the mountain still had Kedusha, or maybe the shofar was still sounding? Hima yalu bahar v'dvarav tovim be'enai ki hakavod haya tamid al har ad shenasa mishkan dichtiv v'chvar Hashem milat mishkan. So what happens? The Shechina, what's the Mishkan? We don't realize this. What's the Mishkan? What's the Mishkan? This is it. The Ramban says this straight out.
Sanctuary of Hashem.
And what is it? It's a portable Har Sinai. So what happens? The Anan, which is on top of Har Sinai, where does that go to when the Mishkan's built? Goes to the Mishkan. So remember when at the end of Sefer Shemot, when the Mishkan's finished, what happens? Moshe goes in, and what's the Mishkan surrounded by? The Anan. Waiting to read those psukim. Everyone familiar with that? The end of Shemot, right? Moshe and then what happens? Vayikra el Moshe. Then Vayikra begins. Moshe is told to come in. There's a cloud. Moshe is told to come into Hol Moed, even though there's a cloud there, just like at Har Sinai. So Har Sinai ultimately is a moment, but the experience, the portable Har Sinai, is the Mishkan. We've discussed that many times before. So look at this parallel now. When do we have the Shechina ending? Only when the Mishkan is. And I have a question to ask you. Why did it take so long? How do we get to Yom Kippur? Let's go through the dates. What happens 40 days after Shavuot? Is what day? Is? No. What happens on that day? Hey, there you go. Smash. Moshe then for 40 days goes up. Round number 1. Then he goes up again for round number 2. From Rosh Chodesh Elul until 40 days is Yom Kippur. Comes on Yom Kippur. There's tshuva. There's quite Jewish people. Right afterwards, we're commanded to build the Mishkan. We're commanded the Mishkan. The Shechina that was on Har Sinai, that was trapped on Har Sinai, finally is brought down, so to speak, to the world. If you build it, it will come, and the Shechina eventually comes to this Mishkan, which Bnei Yisrael were asked to build. Beautiful. This is going wild now. Are you ready for this? If that's true, let's do this right now. If that's true, look at source 13. Source 13. Shalosh regulim dachol b'shana. This is what Parsha? End of Parsha Mishpatim. This is really cool. Et chag hamatzot tishmor. Shivat yamim tochal matzot b'sher tziviticha l'moed chodesh aviv ki vo yatzat mitzrayim v'lo yireh pnei rekam. Parsha Mishpatim. But what Parsha is Chet Egel in? Kitisa before or after Mishpatim? After. Excellent. Don't forget that. In Parsha Mishpatim, before Chet Egel, what does it say? 3 holidays you should celebrate for me. Matzot is number 1. For 7 days in the spring. Why? You left Egypt. Look at Tet Zayin. That is called Shavuot, the harvest. And 3, Chag HaAsif b'tzeit hashana b'chad masecha min hasadeh. Chag HaAsif, the festival of harvesting. Now, how is Pesach identified in that pasuk? As the mitzvah of what? Why Chag Matzot? Matzot is the mitzvah of the holiday, right? The mitzvah of the holiday is not Pesach. The mitzvah of the holiday is Tea Matzah. What should the third holiday have been identified with based on that theory? What should the third holiday be identified with? Again, what's the third holiday of Shosha Regalim? It's called Chag HaSukkot. Why is it called Chag HaSukkot? Because what's the mitzvah? Sit in the sukkah. So I understand why. So why doesn't the Torah call the third holiday what? What? Again, not following. Let's go through. It's late. Again, the first holiday is called Chag HaMatzot right here. And then Mishpatim. Why? We eat matzah. It's not a commandment. We left Egypt. The second holiday is Shavuot. It's never mentioned about the Torah at all. Chag HaKatzir. That's for another time. Then what happens? Chag HaAsif. But why is it called Chag HaAsif? Where's the parallel? It should have been called Chag HaSukkot, but it's not. Everyone realize that? Meaning, there are every holiday has two aspects. Not every, most. There's a historical and there's an agricultural. Historical is the history. Leaving Egypt, agricultural, spring.
Did you ask me the wrong question?
Why?
Because of Katsir and Asif are connected, so wouldn't it shouldn't be why?
No, because I'll tell you why. Because Chag Katsir, Shavuot is never, ever, ever, ever in Torah ever connected to a historical holiday. Ever. But Sukkot is. So why in these psukim, when Pesach is identified not as Chag HaPesach but Chag HaMatzah, Sukkot, it should have said here Chag HaSukkot assembly. Why does it say Chag HaAsif? It should be Chag HaSukkot. That's not my question. That's a question by the Meshech Chochmah in 14. And now you're about to be blown out of your mind. This is a total blow away. Get prepared to be propelled. Look at this Meshech Chochmah. Chag HaAsif. V'chin b'titisa lo kein b'dvarim. K'tiv Chag HaSukkot. What is the reason? Ask Meshech Chochmah. Why in Kitisa is it referred to as, by the way, Kitisa is right the second after Chedega, before the Mishkan is not finished yet, and not in Dvarim, because Dvarim is referred to as Sukkot. Hatam al pi divrei hagra, says the Gra. Who's the Gra? The Vilna. Listen to this. Kishenitan luchot Hashem Moshe Rad Minahar. When Moshe comes down the second time, and Chazru Ananei HaKavod, the Ananei HaKavod returned. When did Moshe come down on Yom Kippur? When, according to the Vilna Gaon, when do the Ananei HaKavod come down? On the 15th of Tishrei. What holiday is that called? Yitztavu al Sukkot Shiadua. According to the Vilna Gaon, the only reason why we sit in a sukkah was because of the Anei HaKavod that we brought down after Yom Kippur. Meaning, why do we sit in a sukkah? Because it's to remind ourselves of the Anei HaKavod. So listen to this. Really, let's understand, Sukkot, the holiday of Sukkot, is all about we sit in a sukkah, only because God forgave us. Now, why did God forgive us? What did we do wrong? Chedegel. According to the Vilna Gaon, no Chedegel, we would have sukkahs, but it would only have an agricultural dimension. It would have no Sukkot dimension. The Sukkot dimension of sukkahs is only as an atonement Chedegel. The Shechina which left, which was remained at Har Sinai, we brought it down, and now Kavod returned to the Jewish people. We celebrate that experience by what? By building a sukkah. Beautiful. Now watch this. What other two holidays are not mentioned here? There are 3 Jewish holidays mentioned, but 2 are missing. What 2 are missing? Where's Rosh Hashanah Kippur? Answer? Is this before or after Chedega? Before. Maybe you could argue the following. You know what?
So what is the difference?
These weren't supposed to be there either.
Oh my God.
The only reason why there's Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is because of Chedega. That makes perfect sense. Why? What's Yom Kippur all about? What's Yom Kippur all about? about the 40th day after, finally, from Rosh Chodesh Elul for after Chedega. It was only Chedega related. But the question is, okay, well, it's all nice and dandy, but what about Rosh Hashanah? Where's Rosh Hashanah fit in? Where does Rosh Hashanah fit into this whole equation?
Then what about last week when you said you needed Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur in order for the world to work properly? You needed like Din and Rachman.
So again, maybe in theory, but actually, we're right about these days. You're right. Where's this whole Din and Rachman? Where's that? 100%. Where's that whole? Watch this. What are the two dimensions of Matan Torah? What are the two things that happen? There's a few major things. What are the two biggies? There's a shofar and there's a cloud. Remember Anonim? Anei Kavod? Look at this. They split up into two holidays. Shofar turns into Rosh Hashanah. And I'm going to tell you that cloud is Yom Kippur. And you're going to say, where's the cloud in Yom Kippur? But you all know where the cloud is in Yom Kippur. It's source number 15. Where's the cloud of Yom Kippur? Where's the cloud? Where are the Anonim of Yom Kippur? Look at 15. Where? What did you do with the Ketoret? What did the Kohen Gadol do? Take a look. The Hikriv, the Shachat, here we go, look at that. Aaron, a Kohen, takes the fire coals. Guys, sit down, let's just arrive. Sit down. Nina? Right? They walk in with Gachle Eish from the Mizbeach, Mulo Chafnav, with a Ketoret, Samim, Daka, Devim Beta Parachem. Then Natan Ketoret, he combines, the Kohen Gadol combines the coals with the Ketoret. And what does it produce? The Chisa Anan Kaporat Al Kaporat Asher Leidut V'lo Yamut. And that's how he enters the Kodesh Kodashim, the smoke. Har Sinai has two dimensions, Shofar and Anan. Shofar is Rosh Hashanah. The Anan is what we produce on Yom Kippur. Let's go back. What happens? I think this is what happens. Hope this sounds right. If the whole notion of real kapara takes place because of what happens after Chet Egel, then there's something very unique about Yom Kippur. But you see, you have to understand there's another dimension, and that's the shofar. Now, when, and I didn't put the psukim here, did I? I did, number 11. Oh, that's what they are. Wrong order. 11 tells us, and I need to have more time, and I don't have enough time for this properly, but Yom Kippur has a dimension of shofar. When do we blow shofar in Yom Kippur? At the end. Why? Two reasons. Famous reason, less famous reason. Famous reason is?
It represents the goo.
Okay, so that's not written anywhere. That's a nice idea, but it's nice. Where are the psukim that say you blow shofar on Yom Kippur? Anybody know? Number 11. Ve'hevarta shofar trua b'chodesh hashvi'i b'esror l'chodesh. B'yom kippurim ta'aviu shofar b'chodesh hached v'kidashtem shnat 50 shana u'kratem dror b'yovel. Meaning, the Yom Kippur of Yovel is a mitzvah to blow shofar. Zecher leYovel, we blow shofar every Yom Kippur at the end. I'd like to argue there's a second reason for why blow shofar on Yom Kippur. You know why blow shofar? Go back to the Ibn Ezra, everybody. When was that second shofar by Matan Torah? They say the Shekhinah was over at Har Sinai. What did Ibn Ezra say? Yom Kippur. According to Ibn Ezra, the first shofar was Vav Sivan. According to Ibn Ezra, what was that second shofar? Yom Kippur. That works out very nicely. Why blow shofar on Yom Kippur? According to Ibn Ezra. According to Rosh Hashanah. Not according to Rashi. But we see, so that I think is what's happening of Yom Kippur. This premortal Yom Kippur is all about this moment. And according to what we're saying, it's a bit of Chiddush, I agree. Before Chet Egel, there's no Rosh Hashanah, there's no Yom Kippur, and there's no Sukkot as we know it. There's only maybe the agricultural dimension of Sukkot. This is not my idea. I heard this by Rabbi Ari Khan. Some of you know he has an idea for So, what happens? Why do we split Mamar Har Sinai into two? And we have this shofar, and we have this Adonai Kavod. I think this is what happens. Let's go through the stages. After Chet HaEgel, the fundamental notion of Chet HaEgel, and again we discussed this before, the fundamental idea, what was the fundamental mistake of Chet HaEgel? Was they put way too much emphasis on Moshe and not enough on God. So when Moshe wasn't here, the Bnei Israel, the mistake was they made Moshe way too godly, they didn't make God godly enough. I mean, they could survive without Moshe, they didn't realize that. Right? So Moshe disappears, that was their mistake. So, it was a failure into recognizing God's existence. Remember what we said last week? What is ultimately Yom Din, what is ultimate judgment, is for actions matter because there's a judge. Leit din v'leit dayan. It says in Pirkei Avos, when there's no judge and there's no judgment, then the world is chaotic. So a failure, a person's actions, what makes life matter is that there's a judge. And we're cognizant of God, specifically of what He's done on Rosh Hashanah. And that's what the shofar is. Why? Let's go back, we said earlier. What's the reason why those shofar on Rosh Hashanah? We saw the Rambam, we saw the Rashi. According to the Rambam, what is it? To wake us up. But why waking us up? Because we forget that there's God. We're not cognizant always of God's presence. We're human beings. That's just the way it goes. Now, what do we use? Let's go back. The most animalistic instrument to produce a sound to remind us because we're not worthy, because we failed in not being cognizant of God. But remember that other Rashi, what does he say by Zichron Trua? Recite Psukim. Because we are Ruach Mimavavah. Because God gave us so we give a breath into a shofar to produce a sound, and God gave us a breath and gave us life. So by how do we give ourselves life? Isn't this neat? By blowing into the shofar, so to speak. Meaning, the symbolism here is that God gave us something special and unique to use our talents and our abilities and the ability to speak and to be human by giving us a breath. We fail sometimes to do that, so what do? We need to give air and pass it through an animalistic item, specifically like a shofar. Now go into Rashi. Why? Because remember Rashi says, even if they're at the last moment, just like Yitzchak was taken last minute and switched for the ayil, right? So we see there's this notion of idea of the last minute there can be rachamim, there can be a change. You can never give up, you can never despair. And if that's true, that's exactly the next stage, and that's Yom Kippur. What's the Anan? So if we have a good Rosh Hashanah, we bring the Anan. We want the Anan to come. That's our goal. Our goal is to reproduce the Ananei Kavod on Yom Kippur. That's exactly the goal of the Kohen Gadol. And if we produce the Ananei Kavod, then they really come, and that's why we got to go build the sukkah, because they're here. So really, to some extent, the purpose of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is sukkahs. Because that is life. That's what's Sukkot. Samachta b'chagecha. The greatest simcha is when we're truly celebrating with God and the Jewish people. That's why Sukkot is the highest, to some extent, the highest, right, celebration of simcha. Because if there's been a failed relationship that we're beginning to rebuild on Rosh Hashanah and recognizing God, and Yom Kippurim we're hoping for a future, and we're able to produce the cloud, so to speak, the Ananei Kavod, and they're finally, so to speak, arrived. As we said, that's exactly what happened on the 15th of Tishrei. Then, that's a tremendous simcha that we have because we've been successful for the past 2 weeks, or for the past number of months. Whew. So, I think that's the, let's go back and just summarize, and we'll end for tonight. And we'll use the bad joke again. Last time for this year. So, here we go. We began tonight by saying that that the Rambam says, as Eitz Chaim girls do as well, that the shofar is an alarm clock. Yet, we saw in Vayikra, and we saw in the Midbar, there is a very little mention. It says Yom Trua, Yelachem, Yom Zichron Trua. Interesting, they used the animalistic item. Rashi says you recite Psukim, the idea of a neshama, the idea of breath. And then we saw that Akira Yitzchak by Rashi, we see where's the first shofar by Matan Torah. Specifically talks about the Anan, talks about the Shechina. The shofar begins the Kedusha, and the Siluk Shechina by that second shofar blast. When did that happen? Or when the shofar blast maybe ended? That's Machloket HaNusan Psukim. When? Maybe it happened the 6th or 7th day of Sivan, or it happened on Yom Kippur. If that's true, then Yom Kippur, the significance of blowing shofar in Yom Kippur is much more. It's actually much more than just a nice Zecher Yovel, but actually it's really about. It's a successful thing. I didn't explain this properly. If your end of Yom Kippur is successful, then where does your Shekhinah go to? Your backyard. You follow? Meaning, we blow shofar at the end of Yom Kippur not to say, thank God it's over, we can now eat. Right? I mean, we do. But that's not really what it's about. We blow shofar at the end of Yom Kippur to say, now the Shekhinah's arrived. But if we've had a good Yom Kippur, the Anonim are here. And if the Anei Kavod have arrived, oh boy, they'll be ready to bring them in, and that's why we build the sukkah. So that's exactly right. So we blow the shofar to say, now the Shekhinah's arrived. The Shekhinah is finally here. Let's go build our sukkah. And what are the sukkot? Are Anei Kavod Mamish. That's what it is machloket, but that's probably what makes a little bit more sense. Otherwise, why are you building a sukkah? Oh, this answers a better question. What's the famous question of the Tur? The Torah asks the famous question: why did you build a sukkah in Tishrei? After all, what does it say? Ki b'sukkot shavtim b'nei Yisrael. Why did you build a sukkah in Nisan? Now you have a simple answer. Why did you build a sukkah in Tishrei? Because that's Shekhinah coming back, which only makes sense to do after Chedega, after Yom Kippur. So, Bezrat Hashem will have a successful Yemei Hadin, a successful Yom HaRachamim, and we'll be able to repair a relationship which began to dissipate, beginning with Shofar Tammuz, culminating perhaps on Tisha B'Av, and after the 7 weeks of Nechemta, 7 weeks of comfort after Tisha B'Av, leads into Rosh Hashanah. It takes us through Shabbat Shuvah to Yom Kippur, and finally the ultimate shofar, however, we still yearn for, and the ultimate shofar is the shofar of Mashiach, which is the ultimate redemption, something which hopefully will come speedily in our days.